first speaker this morning will be the illustrious JohnR, and he will give us a 5 to 7 minute speech on the power of networks, an important subject these days. Please help me welcome John with connections. Yeah.
My hearing protection on my knees, bashing away at this rotten, moldy subfloor. It was kind of a juxtaposition between the chaos of the moment and the calmness that I was feeling. I'm at my friend's house. Jamie and Tiki, they just bought this new place, new to them, not new at all. It's falling apart in about 100 different ways. It had to be financed through a bunch of different friends lending them money because the bank wouldn't touch it. This place is falling apart, but it's the only way a millennial can get a house right now, unless you have some very, very, very high assets. So they're in the middle of this, and there's a community of 20 people showing up, and we're doing kind of like an old-fashioned barn raising, where we're all diving in full throttle to help them get to the level where they can move into their place. It's not going to be perfect. It's not necessarily going to be pretty, but it's going to be functional. Now with this group, it's a running club I've been a part of for almost as long as Toastmasters now, I think 10 or 11 years. We have this kind of tradition where when somebody really needs something like that, they can do a communal ask. And it's similar to what Tim had talked about with the Korean immigrants in LA, all kind of banding together and everybody contributes. And then eventually somebody it rotates around and somebody's able to pull those resources and use for their own use. So it's a similar model and just kind of a community building where we've helped at least 20 people do like re-roof their house or do a huge remodel or go and just tear out a whole section or help them move or do something big. And so this really fun community was all around me. And it's one that I've really missed through COVID because we've stayed away from it as much as possible just because Heather is kind of a risk of COVID exposure at the hospital. And also if either of us goes down, we're in a lot of trouble. So we're trying to figure out how to reintegrate back into this group, this huge community that we've been a part of for so long. And it really got me thinking about the power of your network. How many of you have a network of over 1,000 people? Let's see a little show of hands. You know 1,000 people by name, you could call them up or connect somebody to them. Okay. Some people have, there you go, we got at least one or two. Thank you, Tim. With that, 1,000 people, that's a powerful network. I was trying to think on what my network's at. And I think I'm close to 10 or 20,000 people, which is kind of mind blowing. But at the same time, if you're a part of multiple organizations, and Yon Patrol is a prime example, you've seen hundreds of people through Toastmasters in Eugene that are a part of your network now. You can reach back out to them if people need connections. I was also thinking back to growing up in New Mexico. I have tons of people there that have all dispersed throughout the globe. I have friends from college that have dispersed throughout the globe. And using those networks in a positive way is something I really enjoy. My nephew, Donnie, is down in San Diego, and he really wants to be working in Denali National Park up in Alaska. And I just had to think for maybe 3 seconds and boom, a name came to mind. One of my old friends who crashed on my couch in college for a couple months while he was in between places, Kevin, he is a guide up there. And he's been like a bus tour guide and also takes people out on guided tours of the awesome wildlife in Denali. Within 20 seconds, I was able to message him. And within a day, he got back to me and he created a connection for my nephew. That's the power of a network. You can enable somebody to be connected with all sorts of people all over the globe. But what's cool about that is your network is also connected with every other person's network within your network. So if you have a network of 1,000 people, and they each have a network of 1,000 people. That's 1,000,000 connections. That's powerful. And using those networks in a good way. I'm not trying to say I'm abusing them at all. Don't do that. But using them to help people, that's very powerful. And I think it's one of the best ways that we can help people. And it can be the pay it forward type thing. It can be putting into your karma bank when you help somebody out that way. But it's a little bit awkward, right? Asking somebody, hey, do you know somebody that knows this? It can be a little weird at first. But what you're doing when you ask somebody in your network to help you is you're giving them a chance to excel. You're giving them a chance to be like, oh yeah, cool. I know somebody here, and connect to awesome people. Now, I try very hard to only vouch for people in my network and connect people that I know that will do well, that I want to give the opportunity to succeed and thrive. But my biggest hurdle is asking for that help. How many other people struggle with asking for help? We're this super, you have to be independent, you have to do everything yourself type culture.
Yeah.
And if you really think about it, we do very little on our own. The building you guys are sitting in, the buildings that we are sitting in, those were all built by people, by a community of people. The utilities that are keeping the lights on right now, those are maintained by people. There's networks and communities all around us supporting every single bit of our existence. We're not doing it alone. And so I'm trying to change my mindset a little bit around how much do I need to do myself, and how much can I ask people for help, and how much can I reach out and see when those networks need to be used. So I want you to kind of look inside for a minute. When are there times when you've been trying to do something yourself and struggling with it? When it would be as simple as going and reaching out to somebody and being like, hey, I know you're really good at this. Can you help me with it? Doing that little ask, and maybe that'll free up an hour of your time, or a day of your time, or a year of your time. So I'm trying to do that and be better about it, because I struggle. I hate websites. I hate getting that information together. And I have 2 different really good friends who have offered to help me with this, and I just need to do it. So that's the type of challenge that I'm trying to overcome right now, is when to ask and when to just let somebody else do it. You don't need to do it all yourself. You don't need to be perfect at it. So your network, you can use it to help yourself if you have a problem. You can use it to help your friends, the rest of your network, if you're trying to connect people. And you can give people the opportunities that they may never have because their network doesn't quite include this specialization. So when we're going back to that house that we're helping rebuild, in there we had software engineers running pressure washers. They didn't know what they were doing, but a little bit of an outlay, and they were able to figure it out. We had a orthopedic surgeon rocking a paintbrush, and he was giggling. He was so happy to do it because he doesn't normally get the chance to paint. Instead, every single hand action of his will affect somebody's life down the road. So he was enjoying it. It was relaxing for him, when some of us don't like painting. You have all these opportunities when you go and you actually help your network, that you may learn a new skill. You may learn something different, and you may have fun in the process. And it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be absolutely excellent, but it's going to be a lot better than if it never happened. So there's the old adage, perfectionism is the enemy of progress. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. So take the perfectionism out of what you're doing every day, and the perfectionism of having to know everything out, and instead find some progress in your life by supporting your network, encouraging your network, and helping your network grow and everybody in it when you have the opportunity. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, John.